Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Swas. So Toast is going to be traveling tomorrow, so we won't be able to do the live show. So we're just going to record this real quick. We're going to go through the 4 MLB games. Playoffs are starting. Wildcard round, some grimace heroics. Even though, I mean, it was dramatic, it was awesome, but chances are the Braves would have sat everybody. The Mets probably would have won the second game anyway, but still, it was cool. So yeah, we're going to talk about all 4 games. First up, Detroit, Houston. In Houston, the total's at 7 because look at who's on the mound. Skubal against Framber Valdez. And we were just talking about this game, and you were saying how Detroit's really been struggling to hit left-handed pitching.
Yeah, Detroit versus left-handed pitching has been a really weak spot for this team, and I know that. And one thing that you mentioned is even over the last their hot streak, and it's been true. I mean, over the last month, I think they've only seen 2 or 3 true left-handed starters, and over that time, I mean, they really haven't done anything to those guys. I mean, look at the guys that they have faced, the lefties that have faced Detroit. Garrett Crochet, obviously, he's really good, but Tyler Alexander, Cade Povich, Cole Reagans, Martin Perez, Justin Steele. I mean, they're all blanking this Tigers team. And if you take a look at the Tigers by the numbers on the year, over the last 14 days, 26 in OPS, WOBA and WRC plus, full season 24, 27 and 27. So really at no point in this season have the Tigers really been effective against left-handed pitching. And that comes in huge here for me because why? Framber's back. He's all the way back. We continue to talk about it. Over his last 13 starts, Framber Valdez, a 1.91 ERA, a 0.9 WHIP, a 255 xFIP. Over the course of his last 8 home starts, he's got a 155 ERA, a 0.90 WHIP, a 0.230 xFIP. The dude is absolutely dealing, and I know that you can probably make a case. Well, Tariq Skubal is a National League Cy Young winner, or runner-up maybe to Chris Sale. I'm sorry, the AL Cy Young winner. But at the same time, again, there's nothing that I can say that Skubal has bad numbers. You're not going to hear me say that. But what you are going to hear me say is look at Houston versus left-handed pitching, especially compared to Detroit. Over the last 14 days, Houston, 3rd in WRC+, 4th in OPS, 3rd in WOBA. Over the full season, 5th in WRC+, 6th in OPS, 6th in WOBA. Look at the starters, lefty starters. They're not seeing great names, but they are tattooing them all. 5 runs off of Cole Reagans, 4 runs off of Montgomery, 4 runs off of Tyler Anderson, another 3 runs off of Tyler Anderson, 7 off of Reed Detmers, 3 off of Joey Quintillo. I mean, so the Astros are getting to lefties. So again, I just feel like I'm at a point where I'm tired of worrying or fading this Astros team. It's not that I've been fading him a lot, but I've never really been on board. I've been on board with Framber, but I haven't been on board with this team. I know that Alvarez has been hurt a little bit, but he's been taking batting practice the last few days. He'll be in the lineup. And when push comes to shove, I trust this Astros team in October. So I can live with being wrong about them in the regular season. I'm really not going to try to make this mistake. Trust me, guys. I've been sitting at Kyle's house for 2 days trying to figure out a way to bet the Tigers and more dogs in this baseball playoff, and I just don't see it. So are the Astros a little bit juicy? Yeah, but I think there's a big reason for it. Like I said, I played the Astros on the money line at -145. It might have ticked up a little bit, but it is the playoffs. You're going to have to lay a little bit of juice, but I don't have any interest laying -1.5, but I do think that they have a significant pitching advantage as well. Bullpen advantage as well. So with Hader, I'm not a big fan of Hader. Everybody knows that, but he is a good talent. Not to mention Presley and Abreu. And I understand that Hector Neris wasn't great for the Cubs, but I mean Hector Neris over the last month pitching for the Astros has been fantastic. They've changed his pitch mix. So the Astros have a lot of guys that have been there, done that, and I trust in this spot. Obviously, the Tigers do not. At 145, I got to play the Astros at home.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense because you see Skubal versus Framber Valdez. You might be like, oh, Detroit pitching advantage. But if you take into consideration the lefty-lefty matchup and Detroit's recent hitting numbers against lefties, it makes sense. So Houston, money line, -145. Next game, Kansas City on the road in Baltimore. I know you already told me you're on the O's. You just saw Corbin Burnes pitch in person. I thought this was a down year for the O's against lefties, but like you said before earlier to me, Kansas City can't hit anything right now.
Kansas City can't hit anything. Okay, let's just start with Kansas City. Well, let's start with Corbin Burnes really quickly. Over the course of the full season, he's been really, really good. I mean, he definitely had a couple bad starts, and they all happened to be at home. But over the course of the full season, Corbin Burnes, 2.92 ERA, 1.10 WHIP, 355 xFIP. I mean, that man's been dealing for a long time now. Now, You can make a case that some of his home starts weren't fantastic. They were also teams like Houston and the Dodgers and the Yankees and stuff like that. My point being is that all those teams that he got hit up by are night and day better than this Royals team. Royals offense on the road the last 14 days. Keep in mind, this has been like the most important 14 days of the Royals season. 29th in WRC plus, 29th in WOBA, 29th in OPS. The last 30 days, it only gets better by 1 or 2. In the full season, it only gets better by 1 or 2. And again, look at who Corbin Burnes has pitched against over the last couple weeks. The Dodgers, the White Sox, the Rays, Detroit twice, and the Yankees. So the Dodgers, obviously a playoff team. Detroit, a playoff team. The Yankees, a playoff team. Oh, and by the way, the start before that was Houston. He got lit up by Houston, but still, the talent gap between all those teams that he's been facing over the last month and a half compared to the Royals, like I said, is night and day. Yes, has Cole Reagan's been really good for the Royals? Absolutely. 2.94 ERA, 107 WHIP, 387 xFIP his last 6 road starts. This isn't me trying to poke holes at Cole Reagan's, but what I can tell you is that Baltimore is a team that I don't really trust versus righties. Again, I trust them versus left-handed pitching. Over the last couple weeks, when their most important part of their season, 11th in WRC plus, OPS and WOBA over the course of the full season. Orioles 6th, 7th, and 8th in all those categories. But then again, if you look at the last 7 lefty starters to face against Baltimore, Snell, Block, Gomber, Kikuchi, Valdez, Manaya, and Quintana, they got 3 runs off of all those guys, if not more. 7 off of Quintana, 5 off of Block. But again, Kikuchi, Valdez, Manaya, I mean, those are some very solid lefties. The only person that they did not get to that was a lefty starter was Blake Snell. And I mean, obviously when Blake Snell's on, it's really hard to fault them for it. A couple other things that point me towards the O's. The Royals bullpen has been really good the last month. 5th in ERA, 2nd WOBA, 3rd in xFIP, even better the last 14 days. But the quality of competition that they have faced has been really, really low. Not to mention, take a look at the fact that the Baltimore bats against bullpens has been literally one of the best in baseball over the course of the last 14 days, last 7 days, all year. Baltimore essentially a top 5 team against bullpens in any one of those categories: WRC plus, WOBA, OPS against bullpens the course of this whole year, and we're finally starting to see Baltimore start playing well. I was at the Yankees game that they ended up losing with Corbin Burnes on the mound. Corbin Burnes was out there dealing through 5. I think he had 59 or 69 pitches. I'm pretty sure it's 69 because I heard some people joking about it. Haha, 69. But my point is that he should have been in there much longer. They brought in Cano in the 6th inning, which Cano never pitches in the 6th inning. He gives up 6 runs, and that game was never in it. But my point is, you're going to have a healthy, rested Corbin Burnes with a full bullpen behind him against a Royals team that literally was gifted a playoff spot. They shouldn't even be here. They've been losing. They've been playing under 500 baseball for 2 weeks now. Even against teams like Washington, when they needed wins, they were barely winning or they lost. Because again, like I said, they weren't winning games. They didn't win into the playoffs. They backed in. So again, do I love laying this price with the Orioles? No. Do I love that I'm on 2 favorites early? No. But at the same time, I can't make cases for the dogs in this. So if I have to pay a little juice, I'll pay a little juice. But I do think that Baltimore wins here.
Baltimore money line. Yeah, it makes sense. I remember we were talking for feels like the last month of the season. Hey guys, Kansas City really needs to win though. It doesn't matter. Exactly, they're still not hitting. They're still not hitting. So
I will say I do expect Cole. I don't expect Cole Reagan's to get absolutely obliterated. I know I talked about how well that Baltimore has hit left-handed starters and whatnot. I wouldn't mind an under 7. It's -120. I wouldn't be surprised if you see 6.5s when we wake up tomorrow morning. So if you're a totals person and you'd rather not pick a side, I would definitely lean under there.
I think I already saw a couple 6.5s out there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Grimace on the road in Milwaukee. Obviously, the story with these last 2 games is going to be the situation.
Right.
I don't know if we've ever even seen anything like that. A doubleheader the day after the season ended. So you got the Mets and the Braves both flying out to their respective locations. Severino's going to start. I know you're not a big Freddie Peralta guy, but I actually placed a bet in this game. I took Brewers team total over 3.5 for the simple fact of I don't know who's pitching innings 6, 7, 8, and 9 for the Mets. And if the Mets were to win this game, I feel like it would be Grimace offensive magic. I can't see the Mets blanking the Brewers, who have been sitting waiting for this. So I think as long as Milwaukee's able to get 1 or 2 off Severino, they should be able to get 1 or 2 later in the game. So I actually bet Brewers team total over 3.5.
I'm most likely going to play that. I wouldn't. I think it's that or overs. Trust me. I would again. I can't sit here and lay minus 135 with the Brewers. I know how well they've been at home. They're barely a 500 baseball team on the road. They're like 15 games over 500 at home. I just don't trust Freddie Peralta. And if that's something that I need to address in the offseason, I'll address it. But I know that he's looked really good over his last 5 starts. But who have they faced? The Cardinals, the Rockies, Arizona, Philly, and Pittsburgh. You can argue that only one of those teams had somewhat anything to play for, really, even going back to the beginning of September, because the Cardinals and the Rockies are absolutely terrible. The Pirates are terrible, as we all know. And you could argue that Philly really didn't have anything to play for. Again, I'm sure it meant a little bit of something to them, but in the grand scape of things, that game meant absolutely nothing to Philadelphia. And then he pitched well against Arizona. I will give him credit because Arizona has been playing well. Obviously, they missed the playoffs. We all know that. But regardless, Arizona going into the playoff or the end of the season was playing really well. So besides that, my point is that yes, Freddie Peralta's numbers look really good. All 5 innings or more, less than 2 runs or less. Again, I don't trust it. And I know that the Mets just played a doubleheader, but at the same time, they rested the veterans. I was watching the SNY broadcast today, and the one thing that's really has me kind of wanting to play the over and not just the team total for the Brewers is that you have like guys like Lindor that, I mean, they were talking about him going back to the locker room every other inning and all this stuff, and now he doesn't have to do that, and he doesn't even wear a heat pad anymore. So if Lindor's healthy, which obviously we saw late in that ball game, he hit a home run, I wouldn't be surprised if the Mets put up a couple runs. So as far as this is concerned right now, I would say Brewers team total over 3.5 because I don't trust Severino on the road that much either. Not to mention the fact that the Mets would see, what was it? Diaz is down. Ottavino pitched today. I mean, there's so many guys that you're just not going to have a full Mets back into that bullpen. So again, I would lean over. I haven't done anything yet because I haven't really got to dig deep into this one as much as the other ones I have, but I would lean over and Brewers on the runs. I just don't know if I'm going to play Brewers money line personally and lay minus 135. I would be more comfortable that the Brewers score 4 than they win the game personally.
Got it. All right, in the last game, we both bet this one already. We're both on the Padres. Pretty self-explanatory. The Braves are limping into this one, and so is it not even freed now? This graphic says freed.
It says freed. It was freed up until I think I guess everybody assumed it would be freed up until about a half hour ago. One of the Braves beat reporters said that they won't be starting freed in game 1. It's going to be either A.J. Smith-Shawver, Ian Anderson, or Bryce Elder. Let's go. I mean, it doesn't matter which one of those 3 are. If this would have been Max Fried, it wouldn't have been an automatic Padres bet. I probably still would have bet them, but the Padres versus left-handed pitching compared to Padres versus right-handed pitching has kind of been night and day, especially this year. I'm pulling it up really quickly so I have it. Versus left-handed pitching this year, Padres a 96 WRC plus. That's essentially average. But versus right-handed pitching, they're 116 WRC plus. They're 3rd in baseball. So not getting to see Max Fried here is huge, especially when you consider Iglesias has now worked 3 days in a row. He worked both of those games yesterday. What's his face? The other guy, I'm blanking on his name, Jimenez or whatever. He worked both of the games as well, and he had worked the prior 2 days before that.
Reynaldo Lopez pitched too.
Yeah, Lopez pitched on back-to-back days or whatever it was, or 2 of the last 3 days. So the pitching for the Braves is very compromised. I don't want to sit here, especially because you guys all know I'm a Padres fan, so you think I'm a homer, but it feels with them not starting Max Fried, it's almost like
they're punting.
Yeah, it's almost like they're punting and they want to set everything up for the rest of the series. That being said, the Padres are going to start Michael King, and Michael King over his last 20 starts has been essentially one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. 113 innings, a 2.4 ERA, a 2.48 xFIP, striking out guys at nearly 30%. He's only walking guys at about a 7% of the time. Doesn't have any really crazy splits as far as lefties or righties. I guess a little bit on the lefty side if you're really worried about that, but again, the Padres have, and I mean, you guys have heard me say this 1,000 times, the best bullpen in Major League Baseball. So you're going to have them, Michael King, not to mention everybody rested and available in the Padres bullpen. So I did play with the Padres. I don't know I'm going to look and see what the line is now because it might have moved with the Fried information. But it's still about the same price.
I got it at minus 140.
Yeah, it's about 145 now. It's kicked up a little bit, 55 on some books. BetMGM and I think Caesars has them in the 40s still. But
I'm
either
surprised
way,
it hasn't jumped.
I mean, well, I think it's only been like a half hour, so it has jumped a little bit. But
I would imagine by the time people are watching this, it's going to be more expensive than that.
I would agree. So I wouldn't mind like a Padres first 5 run line if you're not willing to pay the juice. But I will say, guys, minus 150, minus 145 in the playoffs isn't really that crazy. So if you're going to be sitting around trying to wait for like a minus 130 in certain games and stuff, that's going to end up being more than a coin flip. So
also, I mean, I wouldn't even isolate it to the first 5 because we're going to have the advantage later in the game. Maybe the minus 1.5.
I was going to say that too. So again, I was going to sprinkle minus 1.5 because I was in New Jersey and having a little fun. Minus 1.5, right? Or when I got it or saw it was like plus 165. So that would probably be even better. Just play the money line and then throw a quarter unit on minus 1.5 as well. I do want to say that the Braves have been pretty decent on the road. They are ranked number 2 over the last 30 days on the road, but at the same time, I mean, look at the last couple right-handed starters they've seen: Alec Marsh, Seth Lugo, Brady Singer, Severino, Carson Spears, and Yamamoto. They got to Severino. They got blanked by pretty much everybody else they've seen. That Braves offense, I don't worry about at all. Oh, and by the way, the Braves offense versus bullpens, 26th, 26th, and 25th in those major categories we talk about over the last 14 days. It's just been really bleak for the Braves. So, yeah, I think that they got kind of lucky today with a little bit of a bullpen blow up. But regardless, they still lost the game that we needed them to. And I just think that San Diego has way too many advantages here. So maybe game 2, we might look at the Braves, especially with the lefty on the mound. Like I talked about, the Padres don't hit lefties as well. But as far as game 1 is concerned, and we're going to see one of those 3 guys with the right hand, it's just really hard not to like the Padres.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm like I said, I already bet it. Padres money line. Yeah. So tomorrow, we're still going to do the live show at 4 p.m., but we won't do any baseball. If you want to come talk some football, we got some college football games we're going to talk about, maybe an NFL game or 2. So we'll still do a live stream, normal times, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Toast will be on a flight. So we'll touch base with him on Wednesday.
Everything will be normal Wednesday. We'll be good to go.
All right, cool. Yeah, we got to figure out what we're doing because these games have 2:30 p.m. start time. So maybe we'll do an earlier stream, or maybe we'll do like a midnight stream the night before for baseball. Yeah. I think that might be the plan here. So yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll let you know. Everyone, thanks for watching. See you in the stream.